All righty, and at 10 minutes now past the hour of 8 o'clock, I have the pleasure of welcoming Mayor Danny Beavers into the studio. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you, Ty.
Well,
Pleasure to be with you.
well, it's good to have you here today. And I tell you what, let's start on just a great note last night. We had 7th District baseball action, and that was in Dawson, and of course here. Let's talk about softball first. The girls. It was a game heard here.
The Lady Tigers put it on Hopkins Central, and I think they're gelling at the right time of the season. They've played some good opponents, and that's how you get better, and that's what makes you ready for a district tournament. Hopefully they can give Madisonville all they want.
Yeah, and it's going to be it's a great night. They have, I think, they've been peaked. I've seen several of their games this year. Webster County the other day, they came out a little flat, and Webster County just seemed to just pound the ball. But they just, man, when they're on and gel as a team, man, they're hard to beat.
That's really true. Baseball, softball, those sports. Any team can beat any other team, no matter how good they are, on any given day, because a lot of times your pitcher's on, and it just destroys the other team. Sometimes you hit the ball better than you've ever hit it, but sometimes you play great defense, and then sometimes a really good team that falls apart. But the Tigers at home here beat Dawson. I think it was 10 or 11 to 10 to nothing.
10 to nothing, yep.
And played well. Dawson put the ball in play. They hit the ball hard, particularly a couple of kids, and they didn't have anything to be ashamed of. Caldwell County was just a little bit better, and Ty Ramey pitched a real good ball game. That always helps, makes you look good when your pitcher's on.
Definitely, and of course we've got quite a rotation. We're kind of gifted in the pitching area, I would say, this year. Lots of pitchers and lots of good pitchers.
If you have 3 good pitchers in high school and you get to the district tournament, you can win a district and regional tournaments. You have to have 3 good pitchers for a regional tournament. Then you got to have a couple of guys that can come in and get you some outs in the late innings. Come in fresh, throw strikes, and get people out. And we also have that.
That's right. Well, good deal. And of course, we're going to have the baseball district championship game on the air tonight, immediately following our 5 p.m. news. So Jordan Dunn and Bob Hayes be on hand to bring that action to you right here on WPKY, the Tigers. Want to get your thoughts? You're a past baseball coach for many years here in Colorado. I know you love the game, and I know you enjoyed your coaching years.
I sure did. I was fortunate to have a lot of good young men playing, and they were not only talented as players, but they were also talented young people, and have all gone on to do well. And that having the talent makes a coach look good. Sometimes you just need to roll the ball out there and say, "Go get them," because overcoaching sometimes gets you in trouble.
I understand that totally. Well, we wish them luck, the Lady Tiger softball team, as well as the Tigers tonight in the 7th District Championships. Ladies in Dawson and the Tigers right here at VFW Ballpark. And I tell you what, the field's in great condition. They've done a fabulous job out there on it, and it'll be a beautiful night for baseball this evening. Just a ever so slight chance of rain, so I wouldn't even mention it.
Well, the work that David Brown and his supporters have done on the outfield fence have made the VFW field very classy. And then there was some chat gravel donated. I believe maybe Lafarge did that for a warning track from dugout to dugout, and that pretty limestone color against the green really looks nice, and it's very functional. So the work that's been done on the VFW field has just made it as good as any field in Western Kentucky. I understand that we're not eligible to host a regional baseball tournament because our utility poles for our lights are still wooden, and they said there's something about they passed a rule, probably just a regional rule, that the poles have to be metal as opposed to
I'd
wood.
heard that.
And that's a shame, because it's a big advantage when you're in the region to play on your home field.
Yes, it is. I might dig into that and see how that works.
Be
That'd
worth
make a
it.
pretty good sports story, I think,
Would.
wouldn't it?
It would. Ask Gator and DT to get on that.
Yeah. Oh,
They could make it funny.
yeah, they'll definitely. Yeah, they'd make it entertaining to find out about that. We might get them on there if they're out there listening. Let's do that. Well, we wish the Tigers luck tonight in their respective championships, and congratulate them so far, and look forward to what they might provide for us in the future. So we wish them luck tonight.
Absolutely. I'm hoping Bradley becomes the first coach to win 2 regional championships and go to the state twice. That's a lot tougher than people realize, especially in baseball, because there really is no classification. You play against the big boys, and that's small schools have a tough time.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, congratulations and good luck, Tigers, tonight. Let's skip over now and talk about some city stuff. Of course, last night was a special called meeting, and it was the first reading of Ordinance 522, 2017. It's a budget amendment for the Big Springs Park Development Project. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's very difficult to get any kind of grant money, federal or state or just a private foundation, without a master plan for the development of whatever project you're working on. And this basically will give us a master plan for development of that area, Big Springs, Trail of Tears Park, the Caboose area next to what was Ollie's Choo Choo Restaurant. We do have some land over there that some high school young ladies are trying to build a dog park, and we suggested there, and that's still a possibility. The budget amendment was necessary because if the money isn't specifically authorized in the budget, and you try to spend some money, then you have to amend the budget to include that money.
Right.
And of course, we don't have the money in the budget, but we do have some reserve funds so we could operate the city for 3 months, whether we had any income coming in or not, if there was a natural disaster or something that sort. And we'll take, I believe it was, let's see, I forgot how much it was, $8,500,
Yes.
I believe, and put that in so we can spend it. We could have waited until the next fiscal year, which starts July the 1st, and just done it then, but the urgency of getting things started is the reason we had a special call meeting to have the first reading, and then the second reading will occur, I believe it's June the 5th, and vote on it, and then it will become part of the budget, and we'll be able to proceed. And that's real important. The group that has made the proposal that we're going to go with did a similar project in Mount Washington, Kentucky, and checked out their work ethic and what they produced, and it was excellent, and a similar project. So
Okay.
we're hoping that we get the same results. They got several $1,000s in grants, so we're looking for that too.
Are you looking? Yeah, I was going to ask you. You're going to looking to maybe combine this new budget appropriation along with some grants to maybe enhance what the work that you're going to do down there.
Most of the grants for this kind of work will be a 80-20 matching grant.
Okay.
So if we were to get, $100,000, we'd have to put in 20 at
Right.
least, and we'll try to have that money available in the next budget. Although the city we base our income coming in for the next budget on about a 3-year average, and generally that average will get you somewhere near what income you're going to have coming in. There's several factors that affect that, but normally and expenses are estimated the same way,
Right.
barring any natural disasters or a tremendous amount of money we might have to spend for
Something totally
eclipse.
unexpected. Yeah.
The eclipse is coming along. It's under 100 days now, I believe, or getting close to that. And the city is prepared to do what it needs to do to take care people that might be here and public safety and things like that. We're not going to make any money. In fact, it'll cost us money over time because of the extra work people are going to have to do. But we're prepared, and I know Hopkinsville, they're expecting about 100,000 people to be in Hopkinsville, and we may get some carryover from that. I expect we'll have an extra 20,000 in Princeton or this area, so who knows what kind of problems that's going to bring. But our emergency management director, Joey McCaslin, has worked on that. The public safety people are ready. They've had plans. I know Harold Riley's got big plans, and I wish him well with what he's trying to do with Soul Quest. So I think it's an event that the community is going to be proud of. When it happens, I just don't think we quite understand the magnitude of it yet.
Yeah, I know yesterday I heard a news story about, I think there were some hotels, there is that a news story out of WHOP or Hopkinsville, about 60% occupancy, as far as reserved. I know there have been several private citizens that have rented their homes on Airbnb and those kind of things to, for folks coming in here for it. And it's really, there's, you can kind of get statistics and look at hotel reservations and campsite reservations and stuff, but really there's really no way to tell what kind of influx we're going to have until the time, is there?
Really not. And, there are people from all over the world that may be here. They may not speak English. They have money, obviously. They're traveling. They really follow the sun. And they do these things. They've been to them in other countries and other places, and they'll be here. There's no doubt about that. We just hope that we can accommodate them and present our community in a way that they might want to come back and visit.
Sure.
Certainly hope so, and especially the people from Louisville or even Paducah, across the rivers, south of us in Tennessee. Princeton is just as prime viewing spot as Hopkinsville. Now, the NASA people put a spot on the map, and it's really on the Hopkinsville Road at McCarroll Hill. There's a Baptist church there, and that is I can't remember the term, but that's a spot where you get the longest darkness.
Yep.
Maybe 2 seconds longer than it is in Princeton. But it's going to be a magnificent event for us, and I can't wait, really.
And you're confident, I know I've talked to Joey about some of the things, been to a few of the meetings, but you're confident that the city and all our emergency responders, of course, this is EMS week. Are you aware of that,
Exactly.
I guess? Yeah. They do a fantastic job, and I think they will respond to the situation, whatever that may be, when the time comes. I'm confident in their abilities and what they've been doing.
Absolutely. One of the concerns is that Hopkinsville Road between Princeton and Hopkinsville may be a giant parking lot, and the fact that emergency vehicles, the state police, and local sheriffs, and Stan Hudson, from our side of it, and city police out to the county line, you're going to try to keep the road open so a fire truck or a rescue vehicle or emergency ambulance can get out, say, to Soul Quest. And, that time in August the 21st, that week, I believe if you go out and go back and look at some of Royce Burchett's records at the University of Kentucky Research Center, that is the hottest week in the Princeton area. It's the hottest week.
Yeah,
it's the
driest.
And, people from foreign countries that aren't used to Kentucky's humidity and heat, they may have a heat stroke. And if we have an extra 20,000 people here and there are 75 to 100 heat strokes, we're going to have to handle that. And the hospital will have to be prepared. Emergency ambulance people probably may have to set up a clinic or a triage in the Butler Gymnasium just to take care of minor things to stabilize people. That's a possibility. Superintendent Boyd and we discussed that. we're hoping that some media will come here.
Sure.
And
Major media, I mean, you're talking
yes,
about, yeah.
We'll have area media for sure, but the major affiliates, we're hoping they will come here. I know they'll come to Hopkinsville, but they may drift over here too. We're certainly hoping for that.
Hopkinsville seems to have jumped on the marketing aspect of this early. And have done, they've kind of taken this and grabbed it, seized on it, and really have marketed it well. Not that we haven't, but it's just I think it's just a different of philosophies. They have hotel space that we don't have and different things. So they've
Exactly.
grasped on and been able to kind of do that. I think much more than we have.
They also have money to spend on it that we don't have, and they have spent it wisely. You're right. They marketed it well. They hired a director that does nothing but work on the Eclipse, and Miss Jung has done a really good
She
job
has.
and produced some nice literature about it. Got it on the national scene, but the eclipse is going to happen, whether
No doubt about it.
prepared or not. And
No doubt about it.
I'm just hoping for good weather so everybody can enjoy it and nobody will be upset.
Well, and lots of work is going on behind the scenes. It might
Yes.
not be public, but we I think we need to emphasize that there are all these agencies are working together,
They
and
are.
there is a plan, and it should be no reason for anybody to panic or be upset because your city government, your county government, your responders, and everybody are working together. It might not be in the public eye, but there have been meetings and coordination. And again, when you don't know what to expect, it's hard to plan for anything that you don't really know what's going to happen. But at least you have a plan in place to handle and sort of at least be halfway organized.
That's correct. Mayor Carter Hendricks from Hopkinsville and I contacted the governor's office and asked for maybe some help from the National Guard for things like medical help, transportation help, and even some military police help that we may need. And Homeland Security in Kentucky has looked at that and responded, and they're trying to figure out exactly what we're going to need as well. But the work has been done and the requests have been made, and really I think we're in good shape.
Good deal. Well, let's now shift our gears from the eclipse, and let's see. It's been several months, I think, but you have a code enforcement officer that's working for the city now, and that's Mr. Dickie Thomas, and he has done some extensive training and some research and has implemented some new laws and regulations and things that have come down from the state as far as code enforcement and that. Why don't you give the folks a little bit of idea of what Dickie does up for the city and what he has to deal with on a daily basis?
Well, we're fortunate to have someone like Dickie that's willing to be the code enforcement officer. House Bill 422 was passed by the legislature last year, became a law in July, and it changed a lot of things that are considered violations. What you could do last year, you can no longer do. For example, if Casey's across the street here wants to just set their garbage out on the curb for a week or two and until maybe the next Freedom Waste comes around to pick it up, you can no longer do that. It's got to be contained and out of sight, for example. Yards that are unattended now, the law says that you've got to keep them maintained, keep them mowed. Dilapidated houses either have to be repaired or torn down. And all these things are expensive, and we're trying to figure out how to fund code enforcement. Maybe in the budget coming up that I'm hoping to make Dickie a full-time employee and get the city cleaned up. The majority of our citizens have asked for that. They asked the people running for council, they've talked to me, and it's not an easy job. as your community ages, a lot of the regular homesteads and have become rental property. Sometimes the children that have inherited those from their parents don't live here. They don't come back here and check on their property. They just have someone to rent it for them, and it dilapidates, and they don't take care of it. We have a lot of non-resident owners of rental property, and they basically collect the rent, and that's pretty much the extent of it, and it looks in disrepair. We have some really good landlords in Princeton who take care of their property, and we're trying to help those people out as well. Dickie has done a good job, and he's had some help from people calling him all the time and saying, hey, you need to come look at this house over here or this property over there, and it really is wearing him out. He's really hustling, and he is logging the complaints and looking at them. And I've already seen some people have cleaned up their yards without having to be cited. And that's all we're trying to do, is just get people to take care of their property. We don't want to fine anybody or cite them to court or cite them before the Code Enforcement Board. We just want them to clean it up and the appearance to be, somewhat like the rest of the homes or the residents in any neighborhood.
Yeah, and it's a big job, but I do understand just from my readings and attending some of the city council meetings. I mean, Dickie has put in a lot of time studying, the new, from House Bill 422. What it takes to implement this program and getting the new codes and everything up to date. I mean, he has really put in the time to interpret all this new information and these new codes to get us up to speed.
He sure has, and Julie Key has tried to do that several years running, and it's hard to do that and
do her job as well.
And do her job as well, and the fact that she is the administrator that helps Dickie get this done, and that's it's a teamwork thing, and everybody is on board with it. We have your city employees, and I think the residents of Princeton can be very proud of all of our employees, because we have a very stable workforce, and they do their jobs, and their jobs often aren't easy. And I'm so proud of everybody that works for the city, and we'd like to keep those people here and keep them working for us. We don't want to train them and lose them sometimes, and that happens too.
They do, yeah. I can't say enough about our city, and we can name a whole bunch of folks. Let's just thank them all. Yeah. But let's do talk. If you did, you mentioned a few names just there in the office. Let's talk about let's just talk about the office staff. I mean, we know that you've got Julie Key up there.
She is the city clerk.
Right.
Jenny Clark is a deputy city clerk, and she handles several different accounts. Particularly the cemetery, works with our cemetery sexton is Philip Franklin, and between them they know about everything there is to know about the 95 acres or so of cemetery.
Yes. And
Jan Bede is also a deputy clerk, and she handles a lot of the payable accounts and timesheets and things like that everybody wants to get paid, so that's very important.
That's an important job.
It sure is. And then Diane Knox is our finance director, and
fantastic job she does as well.
She is a genius when it comes to numbers, and she can crunch them with the best of them. But this is budget time, and Diane and I, we haven't found any problems in the city that we couldn't fix if we had a proper amount of money to spend on it. And Diane is excellent with the numbers, and she just knows how to predict things financially, and that's such a asset for us all to have.
Yes.
We have a good council that is genuinely concerned about improving the city and what we have, and somewhere we're going to have to bite the bullet and figure out some way to fund some of these projects that we know we need. I can think we could spend $250,000 if we had it just on playground equipment for 2 or 3 playgrounds. Playground equipment is very expensive.
Yes, it
and
is.
We have to meet certain insurance standards, or they drop us from their policy.
Right.
And you don't want that to happen. But we could spend $100,000 easily on the Dotson playground and just get it up to where it should be. And that's a beautiful area up there.
It
Lots
is.
of green space, and the kids use the playground that's there. I think a lot of that equipment came from a Hardee's that closed the playground about 18 years ago, and happened to be a former Little League player of mine that was managing that Hardee's, and called and said, if you want this playground equipment, you can send your people down and pick it up and move it. So we did. And some of that playground equipment went to the city-county park. There's another $100,000 that we definitely need to improve the playground facilities and the picnic shelter at the city-county park. And obviously, we'd do it if we had some money.
Right.
And that may be in the future some way to figure out how to fund some of that. I'd like to see the American Legion, even though they're shut their doors, they still have a playground next to Youth Incorporated's ball fields, and that needs some attention. And it's so used at night when everybody's playing ball. Last night there were 24 kids over there during the high school games just playing, and a lot of that equipment now is deemed unsafe because of simple little things like handles that you hold on to and rock now can't stick out. They have to be in a circle or a half circle, and you grab the side, so the handle can't poke somebody in the eye
Right.
or face or knock out some teeth. and all these safety things that the insurance people demand they're not unrealistic. And usually those kinds of changes are caused by someone getting hurt, and
Sure.
and saying, hey, we can prevent that by changing the way this piece of equipment's made.
Definitely. Yeah, we can look around our city. We've got a wonderful community, a wonderful city here, and everybody does a fantastic job pitching in. But as you say, if we have this influx of visitors with the eclipse, we want our city and everything to look as nice as we can.
Sure do.
And, that's important, when you're trying to attract industry as well.
Absolutely.
Our amenities that we have when these folks come in to relocate an industry or a business, they look around the community and they take note of what it looks like. And it's a very important part, the aesthetics of what a community has to offer these folks.
It sure is. There are lots of little things that you have to have in a community to attract new business and new industry. And we have a fine hospital, a fine medical facility.
Sure.
We have some really good family physicians. And anymore, you can't lie about your community to get people to come here and look at it, because they can look at it on the internet. And you better be straightforward and truthful, and have some incentives. Once they say, well, we're interested, then you better roll out what you can give them to get them to come here. And we do have a nice industrial park. It's excellent. We have built, the Industrial Development Authority, along with Lake Barkley Partnership, have built a build-ready site, and that was a recommendation from the Economic Development Cabinet. So we're hoping to put something on that site in the near future. Don't have any prospects, but if you don't have a site, you don't get any prospects. So, and we have some good industries here. The workforce is steady, and we're very proud of them. And Treehouse Foods is going to be a fine community partner. Hydro Gear has expanded, and they're solid. There's Body Code and what was Special Mills. I don't know what
It's Wyman something.
Wyman
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
It's changed a time or two.
I just
but,
noticed this new sign out there.
Good place.
Yes.
Good places to work. And then, of course, we have a lot of people that drive 30 miles to work. And the unfortunate part about that is those other places get their payroll tax, and we don't.
Right.
But Madisonville and Calvert City and Hopkinsville use a lot of our workers. And then we have a tremendous number of people here who are underemployed. They could do better work with their skills if they had better jobs, and that's what we're always trying to get. And anymore, it's hard to get an industry to come to your community, but if you can help an existing business or industry expand, you're really better off.
Yes.
And we're certainly trying to do that. The Industrial Development Authority and Lake Barkley Partnership are looking at some options right now to Randy Major left the community last September, and we miss Randy because he was at least out there every day looking for industrial prospects, business prospects, and we're trying to reorganize to where we can afford to hire someone to do that.
Right.
And I hope we're successful real soon. We may be Crittenden Line and Caldwell going together as a, I wouldn't call it a tri-county thing because they want to leave it open for Livingston County or someone else
Sure.
to join in, but obviously that would be a tremendous thing to happen.
Yes,
Looking
sir.
forward to that. That's a possibility as well.
Well, let's shift gears let's go another direction. I know a couple
right.
city council meetings ago, our police station, our fire station, they you outgrow things basically. With the changing of times, I know especially our police station is cramped. And I think I noticed there was maybe something at the city council meeting about maybe looking to in the future, nothing set in stone at this point, to maybe move some of our services. Can you elaborate on any of that?
Well, we're working on obtaining some property on 62 from the Industrial Development Authority. They have some highway frontage which is not buildable even for businesses. The Lisenby Cave system runs under it,
Yes.
unfortunately. And we may be able to locate our police station there. And we need to do that in order to expand the fire station or rebuild the fire station. The roof is falling in on our fire station. And the building is beautiful. If you come down around East Court Square and look at it, it's still a beautiful building. The bays are too small for our new fire trucks, but with a lot of care and
Careful backing that thing in there.
and expertise in backing up a vehicle that cost $500,000. But we also house the county fire equipment there too. And because we provide about 80% of the county's fire protection, we have vehicles city and county, and we just are out of space. But the building itself, like I said, the roof is going to collapse one of these days if we don't hurry up and get out of there, which we're trying to do. It would be nice to have we'll relocate the fire station in the same spot, tear down what used to be the city hall, which was opened in 1970. That building is still pretty from the outside, very attractive, but it's not functional inside. It has seen its age, and the police really are out of room. Police work has changed so much in
Right.
the last 20 or 30 years, and a lot of this stuff you see on TV is reality, even in small communities. And because of the internet and electronic media and things, police work has taken a little bit different turn. You still have to have your patrolmen, and they still have to write tickets when people disobey the law. But we were one of the safest places in Kentucky to live last year, the FBI statistics, and also one of the best places to get a mortgage. In fact, we were the #1 place as far as obtaining a mortgage and living, cost of living, and things like that. So we're proud of that, and we want that to continue,
Sure.
of course. But the fire station has got to be modernized. The doors have to be wider, have to be taller. The trucks now have a lot of equipment on the top of them that wasn't there 20 years ago. And I'll put our volunteer firemen up against any paid fire department anywhere. Brent Francis and Brent Thompson, they train our firemen. Our firemen take it seriously, even though they're volunteers. They do get paid a small amount per run, and they're trained not only to put out a fire, but to help rescue people,
Right.
get them out of a vehicle that's crushed, and and things like that. And even though there may not be as many structural fires now as there were, people are smarter at preventing fires in their homes. But there's a tremendous number of rescues and accidents that require the
Fire and rescue person, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
And it's very important if you're in one of those vehicles. You know, it's and our people do a good job, and they take it seriously. They're not on any kind of ego trip when they get called out. They just go do their job.
And they do a fantastic job, and they need to be commended again. This is National EMS Week.
And I'd also say the same thing about our police.
Yes.
We have good detectives. We have a good chief and assistant chief, and they're professional. They take care of business. They train our officers very well, and I think our officers realize that when they go out, that they know what they're supposed to do and they know how to do it.
Right. And we've had quite a bit of serious issues to deal with this year, and all indications are they've responded fabulously to all those, and we've got a lot to be proud of here in our little city, in our county. We really, really do, and we're very fortunate.
Well, and you know, I'm thankful for the radio station and a good newspaper as well. Those things are critical to the community. I realize, and I've told you before, that social media has changed news reporting and how things happen and perception. But you know, I'm not a Facebook fan, other than it gets information out quickly. But it's, you know, I don't believe much on Facebook until you publish it over the air, or it's on your Facebook page, or Jared and a Times Leader publishes it in print.
Right.
That makes it true. And the electronic media gets the word out in a hurry. I'm thankful for that.
Have to be very careful, though.
Yeah, you just need, as usual, in any news media, you got to check your source.
And, of course, Mayor, you're an old WPKY alum, and you also have a journalism background as well. So you know news when you hear it and see it and sniff it and whatever.
Yeah.
You know
I'm
news.
I'm thankful that I worked at the Caldwell County Times when I came home from Vietnam. I worked there about 7 years, and I had worked at the radio station with Twyman Boring and Leslie Goodacre and even Willie Wilson.
Yes.
I did a lot of sports and things like that. And it's a great background, and I love the radio station and the newspaper as well.
Yeah, and it's just good training, too. If you like to write, it's just wonderful training for writers and to get the news right, to report the facts. And I'm glad you said that, because it is very important in this day and age of social media not to maybe run on something that somebody might put on there that has not been properly sourced or verified, and just sent off instantly. So that's an important point.
Well, the thing about social media, we're used to, if you see it like on television or it's printed, you automatically believe it's true. And social media has offered that same possibility, whether it's true or not, and
Right.
The average person can post anything they want to, and often do. And you kind of have to pick and choose and be educated well enough to say, oh, that's crazy, that's not true. I'm going to check it out.
That's right.
Or something like that, or and that's just part of changing times. And I accuse young people of having a cell phone but never using it for a phone.
Right.
You have to text them to tell them to answer the phone if you want to talk to them.
I've got one of those 17-year-olds like that, but it's just a new way of thinking, I guess. But that's the world we live in. But you've got a lot of stuff on the plate, you and the city council, and I know it's not sometimes not for the faint of heart as well. It's hard to please everybody, and it seems like you hear more of the complaints than the attaboys. And we certainly appreciate the work you and the council and the folks up there within the city, all our city employees do.
And in our county as well.
Yes, sir.
We have to work together, because when you're talking about 13,500 people being represented together, it goes much farther, and a lot of times the state is looking for a reason not to fund a project. They may have the money and they may want to shift it to you, but if you aren't together with it, that's just one of those strikes against you, and they say, well, when they get their act together, we'll come back and look at that. And Judge Dunning and the magistrates and the council, they work together,
right,
especially if it's the good of the community. And
No
we're
doubt.
fortunate. There's nobody jumping a claim for credit or anything like that. We're just trying to get things done to help our community.
Yes, sir. And, of course, the fiscal court meeting at 9 o'clock this morning.
That's right.
Let's remind folks when the city council regularly meets. I know there's special called meetings just like we had last night, but let's talk about the regular monthly meetings.
It's always the first and third Mondays.
That's correct.
At 5 o'clock, unless that Monday is a holiday, like Memorial Day. We have an ordinance that says if the Monday falls on a holiday, then we'll automatically meet the following Tuesday. Like
right.
recently, I can't remember the last holiday we had, but that's a good thing. But the community, I wish more people would come to the council meetings and ask questions or voice concerns. Normally, they would do that to a council member or me, and we'll certainly bring it up and work on it.
Right.
It's not always something you can do, but you can always try.
Well, it's important, I think. I know in some of the leadership programs I've been involved in through the chamber and stuff, to go and attend and see how your city and your county government works, and to see what you all do, because it's hard, good work, but educate yourself and come on out to one of the meetings and see how it all works. And if you have any questions, that's what they're there for.
We welcome anyone to come and hope they do.
Yeah. Well, it's just been a pleasure to have you today, Mr. Mayor, and we just can't thank you enough for the job you and the council and, again, everybody with the city does. You're doing a fine job, and just you have a forum to come back here at any time, and we hope that you will come back from time to time, and we'll keep everybody updated with what's going on.
Well, thank you, Ty. And, a soft spot in my heart for the radio station. I want it to be successful as well as our newspaper, and if I can help, you just have to let me know. Sometimes I get too busy and don't realize that where attention needs to be.
Right. Well, we appreciate your time to come in, and we do want to have you from time to time. We try to keep our schedule busy now during this 8 o'clock hour and have groups in and folks, and that's our plan to continue that. And we want you and city officials, county officials to be a part of that so that we can educate the public. It's their airwaves. We're stewards of it, and we want them to be educated and know what's going on to the best of our ability to get it out there for the entire community. So we appreciate you all.
Appreciate it, and it's been my pleasure to talk with you this morning.
Okay, thank you. That's Mayor Danny Beavers, and he has been our guest